Welcome to Chasing a Murderer Talking News, everyone. And today we have a story that's coming out of Chicago. We have heard our entire lifetime how this area has one of the highest murder rates in the United States. And when it comes to getting, stats on murders and how bad your neighborhood is, well, it's not real dependable. There's agendas out there, so it's hard to find true information. Right now, the homicide rate for the city's four North Side police districts, the 18th, 19th, 20th, and 24th, last year was about 3.2 residents per 100,000, making Chicago's capita murder rate higher than New York City or Los Angeles. However, it's lower than the Midwestern cities such as Detroit, Milwaukee, and St. Louis. Many of the Chicago areas, especially in the 2000s, were already plagued by poverty, drugs, and economic problems. A lot of it brought on by the politics in the area where they drive out factory jobs. Everyone knows that jobs matter. To a few online sources, it says that the murder capita now in Chicago has gotten worse. The 15th district in Austin has climbed 274% between 2010 and 2020. This area and its homicide rates up there with the most violent cities on this earth. Locals living in the area are trying to build up anti-crime organizations and fight the increase in crimes. Since I have started my channel here, I've noticed while researching many of the missing women mostly, it's not that men aren't going missing, it's just I can only keep up with so much. A lot of women go missing in Chicago and around the Chicago, Illinois area. Something else that I've noticed is these people that are in Illinois or Chicago are reaching out to states surrounding them, looking for victims there and bringing them back to that area. While many organizations are trying to make it about skin color, it's really affecting all women, and you got to consider what's the majority living in that area. We hear a lot of bickering between who's covering whites or blacks more. But this only covers up truth, because what about the Asians and Hispanics? I always said pointing fingers and comparing will get you nowhere. And that's how I try to handle things here on my channel. Police and investigators had their hands full. Let's think about this. So in September of 2021, in Cook County, the Sheriff Thomas actually told us that they had to form a task force to investigate 150 cold cases involving missing women alone. And one of the main faces that we share here, Kiera Coles, well, she's one of those women. She's one of those women that her story is stopped cold in its tracks. And there are many more just like Kiera Coles. A lot of them, guys, I'm finding are linked to the guys that they're dating. So Kiera Coles was pregnant. So a lot of people are speculating that maybe the guy who is the father of her baby might have had something to do with this. But investigators have not said that is the case. We're seeing more and more violence against women who are carrying a child. If it isn't their partner, it's someone else aiming to take their child away so that they can have this infant for themselves. And I'm talking about child abduction that I refer to as fetal abduction. Very sick and I just really cannot believe that people can actually go through with such a heinous act. There are people so selfish out there that they target pregnant women. They even put out ads to draw them in, offering free baby items, like the Ochoa story that we covered just a few years back. This young Hispanic lady was pregnant. She was due any day, and she answers an ad that, well, it was actually a Facebook group that this woman was in, offering Ochoa free baby items. I can't remember exactly what they were. I think it was a stroller. She invites this young mother to her home, where at that point, she doesn't do this long. Her family members help her, including her daughter. They strangle her and then try to take the baby out of her womb. Neither survive. Luckily, they were caught, and maybe we'll do an update soon on this. But women living in the Chicago areas that people are afraid of, the lower income areas, are afraid. And let me tell you, women who are dating men, getting pregnant, even older, young, there's no age preference for this kind of violence. Well, they're taking their significant other's life. A lot of you were shocked by this when the case Chris Watts comes out, where he took the life of his wife who was pregnant, Shen Watts, and his two infant baby girls, Bella and Cece. When people watched him on the news, they just really couldn't peg him as a monster that he was, the monster that he still is. But, guys, you just don't know anymore. It's hard to read people, and it's not like these guys walk around with it written on their forehead, I'm going to strangle you. I'm going to murder you. Okay, let's go ahead and go over this news story quickly. Since my culture is not the background of Asian, I'm going to struggle with these names as well, but I'm going to do the best I can. I want to pronounce this as Yair Shen. It's Yaer, last name Shen, 46, was charged with first-degree murder, intentional homicide of an unborn child. And police and investigators say that they were able to locate him and pinpoint him as being attached to a young, well, not young lady, but a pregnant woman. I hope I don't butcher this too bad either. Biling Fang. This is also coming out of the Chicago area, and it's around October 9th of 2022 when Miss Fang was last seen at the 3000 block of South Block Street in Bridgepoint, according to Cook County prosecutors. 46-year-old Shen actually owns a Lincolnwood restaurant where the pregnant woman, Miss Fang, also worked. And on the night of October 9th of 2022, Miss Fang left her work and drove Shen's car to the home where he lives with his ex-wife and children. As if this would not go wrong. This sounds like this is not what you want to do, ladies. His ex-wife had no idea that Shen had fathered a baby with Miss Fang. According to court documents, it says that Miss Fang was 37 weeks pregnant with Shen's child. At this point, Miss Fang is at Shen's house, well, outside his home in his car, where it is said that the two got into a big confrontation about money. At some point, Mr. Shen goes into his home, leaving Miss Fang crying on his front porch. Some time passed by where Mr. Shen decides to go out to the woman that's crying, still sitting on the front porch, and took her back to his car. Point at that time, Miss Fang calls her 14-year-old daughter. According to the police report, that's around 10:50 p.m. that night. And she calls not from her phone, but from Shen's phone. Miss Fang's daughter said that she told her to call a friend to pick her up at 36th Street and California Avenue. Not too long afterwards, the friend shows up to that spot. However, Miss Fang is not there. The 14-year-old daughter tries to call her mother back, but she doesn't get an answer. And I'm not sure how to tell this in order, and the fact that I'm also telling this quite quickly. Prosecutors find out later that Shen and Fang, while they were driving, they started arguing once again. Miss Fang slapped Shen in the face, and at that point, Mr. Shen then started choking Miss Fang. Also written in the report, it says once he choked her, he let go. Shen, fearing that the police were going to be called, he said he then choked her again until she lost consciousness. At some point, Shen said that he tried to revive Fang, even performed CPR, but could not bring her back. After he was unsuccessful with CPR, he takes the body of this woman. Instead of calling police himself, and he dumps her at the reclamation plant and covers it with branches, throwing her jacket into a nearby wooded area. So the next day, October 10th, Miss Fang's family report her missing. For unknown reasons, the family said they did this after they knew that Miss Fang was with Shen. Now, this is good investigation work, and this is the difference when you report someone missing immediately. It really helps with the investigation. Investigators are able to get a hold of Shen's phone and track his movements. They obtain surveillance video and footage showing him driving on the expressway before driving to the soccer field near Morton College. There, they're able to see that he's parked there for approximately 45 minutes before driving into the same area where he dumped her body. Investigators are able to track and pinpoint his locations that day, and they actually find Miss Fang's body, sadly, in thick vegetation with her pink jacket hanging from a branch. Now, here's the interesting part. When they locate this jacket, they say they find Fang's ID, keys, money, and a handwritten note. It's written in Cantonese, but it's signed by Shen, which said in summary, "I am sorry. I am not a good person. I made you suffer. I got scammed. I know it's irresponsible for me to leave you. I hope we don't meet in another life." Very curious. He has a lot of conflicts going on there. Parts of him, it seems that he wants to love her and care about her, but other parts is like, I don't want to ever see you again. I am sorry for ever meeting you. There was an autopsy performed, and the determination of her death was multiple blunt force trauma and strangulation. And they're saying that if the baby had been born when she died, that the baby could have survived. So they find burrs on her body, and they say that these same burrs were also found inside Sheng's car. A few days later, police arrest Shen, which was on a Tuesday, and he admitted to killing Miss Fang. In this article, it mentions the fact, what was written in this note suggested that he wanted to kill himself but couldn't do it. He also mentioned the fact that he was going to turn himself in but was afraid to go to prison. But that wasn't the only note that he wrote. According to this article, Shen wrote a note also to his ex-wife, which said in a summary, "In the heat of the moment, I did something wrong, and I am regretful that in the heat of the moment, I caused a big mistake." So what they're saying is that Shen had no previous criminal record, and that he will be due back in court on November 22nd, which has already passed. So we need to do an update on this. This is one of the stories that I always remember. I mentioned that I keep track of certain stories. And this is one of those stories that I decided instead of just sticking it on a notebook, I would share it with you guys today. It's so sad to see so many people get in as he said it, in the heat of the moment and make a huge mistake that will last a lifetime. It not only affected his life, but it affected many more. Why is it so hard to just walk away? Thank you guys for watching and caring. Make sure that you check out the missing faces that we have here on this channel. Share their stories. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys soon.